Hello, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to Adam's TV podcast. I am your host, Adam Samuel, and we're talking some America's Got Talent tonight. And joining me for this discussion is Eric. How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing well. I can't be angry about last night, but I can be. Let's just say I have some notes, shall we?
Eric, how disappointed are you with the elimination of the human fountains?
I'm pretty disappointed. I mean, they weren't gonna win, so in that regard, I'm not as disappointed as I would be. I mean, the only act I was actually seriously invested in was Shin Lim, and he made it through. So I remember that.
I'm not as happy.
I know.
There's this episode did not go my way. I will say, of the acts on America's Got Talent this season, there's only a couple that I'm actually somewhat invested in, and one of them was on tonight's episode and did not make it through. But we'll talk about him a little later on. Also, the human fountains I really did enjoy. So let's kind of get into this. So it's the second week of Judge Cuts. We have a special guest. It is Olivia Munn. Straight off the bat, Eric, what did you think about how she did?
Well, I'm just gonna. I judge the guest judges based on who they use the golden buzzer on. That's basically what we judge them on. And yeah, no, does not compute.
You kind of jumped ahead of my next question, but that I guess I'll just throw it out there. Did the right act get the golden buzzer tonight?
1,000,000% no.
Wow.
1,000,000.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm gonna share your sentiments on that. Other than that, I guess you want to just get right into the acts. You want to just get started? All right. So first off, we have the human fountains, which was an act that I was a huge fan of.
As was I.
Week they do this act where they kind of it's pure comedy. They do these.
It's slapstick comedy. But here's the thing: when we first saw them, remember we both said we should cut the joke off now, because they're not going to be able to top themselves. I'll take that back.
I will too. I think I said at our first podcast that I really enjoyed them, but I felt like the joke, if it went on for too long, it would get stale. But in my opinion, it kind of didn't. I was still kind of laughed the same amount as I did the first time. I laughed
harder this time, I think.
Wow.
Well, maybe not harder, but as hard, which is good. Because the first time I haven't laughed harder all year. So, genuinely, they stepped it up. And I was expecting them maybe to make it through. But, like, the fact that, like, the egg spitting, the egg, oh my god, just kudos, guys.
For those of you who didn't actually get to watch the episode, they do this act where they kind of
spit on each other.
They spit on each other, but they put a theme to it this week. It was kind of like
I like brushing the teeth, and then that's how it was going.
It was just pure comedy. Like I was watching this. I was at the gym on a treadmill watching when they performed, and I was just laughing like an idiot. And there was some person who was like staring at me going, "Are you okay? What are you watching?"
See, if I laugh that hard when I'm working out, I actually have to stop working out because I'll hurt myself. But kudos for you for powering through that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I really thought
of all the acts that didn't make it through but should have, they're number one on my list because I know they're polarizing, but come on, that was funny.
Yeah. Kind of was expecting them to make it through, though.
I was as well.
They kind of got a big segment in the start of the show. They were very heavily featured. What do you think went wrong? Why do you think they didn't make it through?
Well, you can't say it's because one of the judges didn't like them because that's Hans. So Hans made it through. So honestly, I don't think they made it through because honestly, I have no reason. I mean, based on the acts that did make it through, they were better than 5 of the 7.
I actually have an opinion on why they didn't make it through, which I don't know if you're gonna agree. You might, but I feel like on America's Got Talent, they went into this round kind of thinking we're only gonna let one comedy act through, and we have 3 comedy acts. We have the Human Fountains, we have Leo's, and we kind of have Hans. I mean,
we have Hans.
So Hans is kind of, I feel like these 3 acts were kind of competing for that one spot because, of course, America's Got Talent, we can't let more than one joke act through per week. It would be ridiculous. How else are we going to give the acts to the singers?
Well, then they should have switched Hans with the human fountains.
I guess that's
kind of the argument I would make.
The argument is just what I'm saying is that these 3 acts were competing for that one spot, and Hans was kind of declared the winner. I would have liked all 3 of them, honestly. Even over the golden buzzer.
I would have sent home Hans. I would have kept Leo's and human fountains. Yes, over the golden buzzer. I would agree. I know.
Yeah. The thing is also, this is an act. It's funny. I enjoy laughing at it. I enjoy watching it. I do still think it will get stale. I feel like should they have advanced, this journey would have ended in the next round. I enjoy them.
Totally. But doesn't mean they shouldn't have advanced.
True.
Because based on the acts that we saw, they were in the top 5.
I guess. Do you have any kind of final thoughts for them? I mean, I enjoyed them. They're a strong act. They were in my top 7 of the night, but unfortunately, Howie Mandel is our judge, and with him at the wheel, we can't always expect how things are going to go.
It wasn't Howie's fault. I mean, it kind of was, but you know what? Let's blame it on Howie, even if we don't know whose fault it was.
Let's do that.
That's more fun.
Let's move on to a next act. You're going to have a lot to talk about. It's the person who actually got your golden buzzer during the audition rounds. That if we had been giving golden buzzers, this guy would have gotten yours. It is Shin Lim, not a comedian. He's definitely not a comedian. He is a magician. He does close-up magic with Olivia. I didn't really get. I mean, she was there for one part. I don't really understand otherwise why he really kind of brought her on stage. But
witness.
Yeah, what did you think about his performance tonight? Last night.
Well, first of all, I've seen most of it. I've seen most of it before because he was on Penn and Teller for us twice. I've seen his tricks before, but it doesn't matter. I still don't know how they're done, and you could slow down the tape, and I still probably wouldn't know. Here's my thing about him: the whole presentation of the act matters, as does the actual skills that's required to pull it off. For me, other magicians like Rob Lake, which we'll get to later. His tricks aren't as impressive to me because, first of all, he doesn't present them as well. And second of all, it's a prop trick. A prop trick means that it's something that you can pull off without actually having any effort put into it. You know that it's going to work. There's no risk of failure. Shin Lim has a risk of failure because it's all close up with his hands and things. And my God, he's just so impressive. I preferred it on Penn and Teller's how they edited him there because I prefer it when I can't hear him talk actually during the act. I prefer it when he's silent and just lets the music do it for him. But I guess, he had to adapt to America's Got Talent's format a bit. He's easily, in my view, the best magician that's ever been on the show. And at this point, I think he deserves to win. He's not going to because he didn't get a golden buzzer, and he's going to get bust our next round or the round after that. But he deserves to win based on talent, in my view.
I see him top 3, honestly. All the acts, I see top 3 for him.
I hope so.
A lot of people are talking about him. I see his name coming up a lot of places. He seems like a favorite. He seems likable enough. He has a story.
Did he talk about the carpal tunnel? Did he talk about the hand surgery in the story yet?
He did. He shared it during this round.
He talked about hand surgery, but he actually
he talked about how he had carpal tunnel.
Yeah, good. Okay. But he didn't talk about, he actually had a surgery like less than 2 years ago that actually made it like he couldn't do the tricks for like 5 months or so. It was like a long time where he was actually put out of doing anything. So
yeah, just in my opinion, solid act. I see him going far. I see him as a potential contender. Don't know if it will actually win though, but he is someone to look out for. Otherwise, do you have any final thoughts do you want to move on?
I just can't wait to see him in the next round. I can't wait to see whatever tricks he has. I'm excited because I know he 4 of the tricks that he could do will be stuff that I've seen already, probably. I can't wait to see the 5th one. I can't wait to see something I haven't seen before because I'm excited for that.
All right, let's kind of move on. Really quickly, we get 2 they're kind of montage acts, which basically means, what does that mean, Eric?
It means Pack your suitcase, as Simon used to say.
Basically, there's nothing more deadly on America's Got Talent than being montaged. It is the Meliz. I don't even.
I didn't even write down either of the montage acts because I just didn't care.
Well, it's a band. I think they're three brothers. They do this kind of cover. They were okay.
Who was the second montage act? I forget.
It was a singer. I didn't actually catch her name, but
she wasn't terrible.
Yeah, but other than that, not really much to talk about these two.
Let's talk about child abuse, shall we?
All right, let's talk about Sophie Fatu. She is a 5-year-old singer. She's got a big personality. She wants to be a superstar, and she performs New York, New York. What did you think about this?
I'm just happy that they ended this before the live show started.
Yeah.
And that they had her mom on stage with her when they got the result.
I'm going to say spoiler alert, she doesn't end up making it. I was shocked that they cut her, honestly.
Happy shocked, but shocked.
Because they had this whole story with another Eric, Simon Cowell's son. Apparently they have like a crush going. I didn't really understand. It was kind of like one-sided. But I wanted to pose this question to you, Eric, because I was thinking while I was watching. Do you kind of like the inclusion of the other Eric on these shows? I feel like it kind of makes the show too kiddie, in my opinion. Do you kind of think so?
I think he's adorable. Whatever.
But for Sophie, I mean, she's a good singer. Maybe she'll be like better in 10 years also. So this is kind of a question I posed to you on Twitter, and I kind of want to bring up now. Do you think that there should be an age limit on contestants for America's Got Talent? And before you give your opinion, I just want to say that there are kids in this world who are prodigies. There are kids who are at a certain age where they're 12 years old and they could sing like Beyonce or someone, or they could play guitar. There are those kids in the world. There are no real prodigies that really are at like 5 years old. At 5 years old, you're still becoming a prodigy, in my opinion. And you also got to factor in the fact that this is a really big stage. Like this could be like pretty scarring for these kids.
Yes.
What do you think, Eric?
I think 12 at a minimum should be the minimum age.
Yeah, I think so too, because I don't want to say something like 16, but if you say 16, we miss out. I know we miss out on people like Darcy and Grace.
I think 12 is a good minimum. 12 is a good minimum.
I think so. Yeah, too young, because 5 is too young. I just want to say, like, it's
objectively, yes. Well, not objectively, but in my view, and in the view of probably most psychologists, it's too young.
Because, like, what if, hypothetically, this probably wouldn't have happened, but what if she was bad? What if they booed her?
Exactly.
And
the thing is, she was never going to be bad, but she was also obviously not going to win.
Like, had this gone differently, that's a scarring situation, like right there. Like, imagine if someone, like what they did for some of these other acts where everyone's standing up and going like this, and the girl's just kind of staring like that's some pretty scarring shit right there. Just really kind of what I have to say. And on that note, I want to say, Sophie, I wish you well. Best of luck with your singing career, but I am a little happy that you weren't advanced, because I do think you are not old enough for this kind of stuff. Maybe in 12 or 15 years when you're older and you're watching this podcast, hopefully you'll agree with what I'm saying. But otherwise, you kind of want to move on?
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let's move on to really quickly. We get this kind of a package of 2 acts. It's Ray Still Swing and Future Kings. And then the arc is kind of built up here that one in the Future Kings kind of have a story. They have heart. They have a lot more of that. But they're also less coordinated, and they're less 100%. Impressive. And on the other side, you have this other act that lacks personality, that maybe doesn't have the story, but is more coordinated. And what did you kind of make of these 2 acts, Eric?
Honestly, neither of them are going to win, but of the 2, I would put through Future Kings, actually. The
thing is, I feel like that's a little bit unfair, though. Because we didn't get the chance to see their story. They kind of just
the other act.
Yeah, the other act. Like, there could have been a story there.
I'm basing it based on like personality in the dance, not the backstory.
Oh, what do you think of that? The front guy for the Future Kings. That hairdo is kind of like it's like a little bit. It's like I don't know.
Who cares?
Yeah, whatever. That's just me being ridiculous. But yeah, they seem like the Future Kings seem like an act that are going to give the producers what they want. I think I touched on this in the past.
Didn't you say that they're easily buzzable or something like that?
That also, they're exactly what like a package of what a perfect act on America's Got Talent, a dance act would be. They have a story, they have kids, they're easily bussable, and they can cry on camera. Like those are like every single thing I just said.
They got all 4 checks.
If you go back and like look at some of the dance acts, like those, that's what the producers kind of go for. The thing is, I don't know where they end up. Where they'll end up going further down the line, because it's pretty obvious the Future Kings are the ones that end up advancing of these two. But I don't see them making it more than one round. Do you think, Eric?
Agreed.
I see them like it comes down like to them for the judges pick in the next round, and then like top 24 they perform first, and they're
cut.
Yeah. Done. But I like them. I will say I like their audition. I like them here again. We'll see. For my advice, just those
something visual, something in the background.
That also, but they need to be a little bit more coordinated. America's Got Talent acts. You are like all it takes is Heidi Klum to say it wasn't perfect, and you're done. Like you just got to watch out for that. You got to get better on your coordination. Hopefully, it's been like weeks since this was filmed, so hopefully they've improved. But other than that, I like them. Is all I can really say. I hope they do well moving forward. Don't know if they actually will, but other than that, we'll see. Hopefully, not hopefully. That was a terrible thing to say, but we'll see if what I said about like them kind of checking all the lists, and we're just missing the bust like in the front in the next round. We'll see if that actually comes true.
Okay.
Let's move on. Let's move on to Leo's Shem Tov. Leo's Shem Tov, I will say, I gave my golden buzzer to this projector act. Leo's was my second favorite act of all these auditioners. I loved his audition. It was hilarious. It was Tape Face. It was Piff the Magic Dragon.
No, it was JoJo.
Exactly. It was like the dry comedic acts. Like this is the act that I love.
It's different. It's Dustin's JoJo for magic. That's the easiest way of putting it.
Basically. So he comes out on stage this time. He does this trick with a balloon, and he says something like, "I'm going to make it look like Pikachu from the Pokemons," or something along those lines. And as soon as he said that, I was like, "You're the same guy. I really hope you make it through." He does this act. It's just ridiculous, straight away.
I will say the Trump joke where he does a baby and then he has Trump, and it's the same thing. Kudos on that. The rest of it, I think, was significantly less funny than last time for me. And I'll say that, and I was telling you why on Twitter, and you were sending me the Charlie the Unicorn memes and all that
Shun
stuff.
the non-believer.
I know. But he shouldn't talk during his act. The whole reason the first time was so funny was because he was making all these faces, and it was the epic music, and it was just him, that was what made it funny. For him talking and like explaining stuff, it wasn't as funny for me.
Co-signed 100%. I think that is where this act went wrong. I feel like the silent, like he's like serious face is part of the joke. I totally agree with you.
Then why did you send me all those memes yesterday?
Because you were being a non-believer, obviously, who wasn't rooting for him. But
rooting for him?
The fun part of it is like his totally like stone face, like serious face. And I feel like when he talks, it kind of breaks the illusion a little bit. Like this performance, I felt like he was trying to be a comedian. Like in the other time, it felt, I don't know what I'm kind of saying.
Natural.
It felt more natural. This time it felt a little bit like I'm trying to pretend to be like not taking this really seriously. But his act, I'm
I
watching
would have
this.
put him through anyway. I'm not saying I wouldn't have put him through. He was in my top 7. But considering it was a step down for me, I can't be furious that he got cut.
I guess, but there's so many acts that made it through, like this week and last week, and I just saw.
I get that, and I agree, but it's based on step up versus step down. As horrible as that
it makes me sad to talk about it now because I really did enjoy him, and I really do still enjoy his act. I'm just disappointed he didn't make it through. I was still kind of expecting him to, but otherwise, let's kind of move on to the Angel City Chorale. They are what?
It's not Chorale, is it? Is it Chorale?
No, it's Chorale.
I need to look that up.
Yeah, we'll touch on that difference a little bit, but this is another choir. They come on stage. They have this whole story. They're very inviting for anyone who wants to be a part of them. They have a lot of members in this choir, and they perform the song. I didn't actually catch the name of it. It wasn't an English song, and they get the golden buzzer, don't they, Eric?
Yes,
Eric.
Yes, they do.
What did you think of their performance?
Well, it wasn't as bad as last time, but last time was probably the worst performance from the choir that I've ever seen in my life, as I said. So, yeah.
Eric, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I really did not like their first audition at all. I like their message that they shoehorn in. I like that, but yeah, they're just the fact they got a golden buzzer over Shin Lim, Human Fountains, Future Kings, Leos, Rob, even Vicky, or basically Joseph, or any of them. It's a crime, honestly. It's a crime that they got the golden buzzer.
But Eric, we have to give the golden buzzers to music acts. We can't give them to a comedy act.
Honestly, that's fine. Give it to Joseph. Even he's better.
I have so many issues with America's Got Talent, and I don't want to make this into another bashing episode. So I will just say I enjoyed their performance. Didn't think it was golden buzzer worthy
at all.
Probably might not even have advanced them.
Same.
I mean, they would be like right on the bubble. Like
they're on the bubble for me.
Maybe
they're like right at the 6, 7, 8, 9 area.
Maybe like if I was at the judges' deliberation with Howie Mandel and how he's saying we don't agree and like other generic things that make no sense and that are just completely vague for the camera, maybe he would have been able to convince me. But honestly, probably not though. But they're still solid. Don't think they'll win.
Not a chance in hell. Oh, you'll FedEx me your hat and I'll eat it if they win.
This hat.
No, but yeah, I no.
I might have to root for the Angel City Chorale for that.
Nope. Oh, I forgot to hold up my sign. Sorry. That's my thoughts. I had the sign already, and I totally forgot.
I think what was the funniest part about this is, like we said, they end up getting the golden buzzer. Tyra Banks comes on stage, and she says, "The Angel City Choir," and I was like, "That's not their name. They're the Chorale," and they got the golden buzzer, and she said their name wrong.
Well, I typed their name wrong, so there we go.
Yeah, I guess. The thing is, we've said this in the past. Choirs, it's even acts that are more than one person. It's harder to follow than a single story. There are so many members. Like people are more willing to get invested in like one 20-year-old singer with like a story than 100 people with like a story. There's a lack of connection.
Agreed.
And those are really my thoughts on
choirs. Also, it doesn't help that none of the lead singers are very good. Yeah. Sorry. Shade.
All right. Let's move on to really quickly. We get some montage act. We get a dog act. I think the dog's name was like Reckon.
Whatever the dog's name was, he didn't want to be there.
Yeah,
and he doesn't have to be anymore.
I will say, of all the acts that like performed tonight, this was the one I felt the most bad for, because this is entirely not like, it is a little bit in the humans part, but a dog could just say, you know what, I'm not going to do your tricks today. And that's kind of what it seemed like happened.
Yeah.
It made me sad because I feel bummed because we didn't actually get to see her act. It all just kind of.
Well, we didn't get to see her act because of the dog. You know, at least they didn't drag it out. At least that would have been worse, actually.
Yeah. We also really quickly get a video projection act. I didn't actually catch their name. He
was the guy with like the computer thing.
Yep. What do you think about them? Him.
So creepy. Let's move on.
All right, let's kind of move on to our superstar of the night. It is international.
You know here's what I checked. Here's what I messaged Adam yesterday. Hans needs to audition next year as a comedian.
Yep, pretty much.
Well, I mean, he has one this year, but still.
Yeah, he sings. He does this performance of "It's Raining Men" and
almost as funny as Christian Spriding on Britain's Got Talent. Not quite though. Christian Spriding was the guy who sang like William Hung, except he made it to live shows, and yeah.
There was one other guy. No, I think it was like the X Factor.
Wagner?
There was like that. No, there was some guy. I think he performed like "Music of the Night" from Phantom of the Opera.
Wagner.
I don't remember. I just remember it was like a vote for the worst kind of thing, and I was like really invested in it.
Wagner.
And I think he made like top 7. Like
Wagner.
Probably. But
I remember Wagner. He did She Bangs and he'd play the bongo drums. It was glorious.
I think he also did like
Love Shack.
Yeah. We're getting on a bit of a tangent here.
Yeah, it's a good tangent though. If you want to watch something that Hans will never live up to, Google Wagner. Which was the good one? Oh, Fortune Not Bad Out of Hell. It's amazing. He's behind the backing track for like by 2 seconds for the entirety of the song. It's glorious.
No. I thought of someone better. Ryland, I think was his name.
Ryland is not nearly as funny as Wagner.
All right. I guess. But for Hans, you know, he's funny, but it still stings that Leo's didn't make it through. It's really all I can say.
Okay. Moving on.
Let's move on. So next up, we have this jump rope lady, and she does this kind of trick, and
that's the last we see her.
That's pretty much what we see. Not really much to go off on, but I guess we'll kind of keep it moving, right?
Yep.
Let's move on to Rob Lake. He is a magician. What did you think about him?
Honestly, the trick, as I said earlier, the trick wasn't as impressive as Shillams for me. I think he was still good enough to make it through.
I agree. I really like this performance. The thing is, does he trump Shin Lim like further down the line? Like where do you think he falls?
It would be a crime if he did, but I wouldn't put it past America.
Where do you see this journey kind of ending for Rob Lake? Do you see him finale or earlier?
I think either him or Shin will make the finale, and I hope it's Shin.
Do you see any chance where it doesn't?
Where neither of them make it?
Where only one of them does, and it's Rob instead of Shin. All right. Other than that, let's kind of keep it going, right?
Yeah. Joseph.
So before we get to Joseph, we get 2 montage singers. We got Leia and Hunter.
Montage. Moving on.
Montage. Hunter. He was kind of featured, and he had this whole story with like. I remember liking him.
He's one of the original songs that wasn't an original song that they did the last time. Yeah, well, I don't get it. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah. Let's just keep it going, right?
Yes.
Let's move on to Joseph O'Brien. He's a singer, songwriter. In his audition, he did this. What did he do during his performance? I think he did
Hello by Lionel Richie, which wrote him off for me entirely.
Yeah, he tells the story. I think he says he's never been kissed or he's ever like been in a relationship.
That story we heard on Idol last season and lots of other shows before that. Yeah, that story.
Yeah, that story. But he comes out and he does. I think it was "I Can't Fight This Feeling." What did you think of his performance?
The cover or the original?
The cover first.
Didn't like it.
Ooh. What'd you think about his second song, however, because they actually have him perform his second song?
It was good. I mean, the thing is, I'm not blown away by his voice, but I also don't actively hate him. He's sort of like good, okay for me. His falsetto slightly bugs me sometimes, but I don't know why. And I do think he's really, really likable.
Do you think if he was on American Idol, he would do well? Where do you think he would land?
He might get cut out Hollywood Week or top 24.
Wow. You are just bashing some people today.
Well, because there are people that are really, really good, and it's annoying when you have people who are amazing and people who are just good or okay, and you know.
The thing is,
and then when they're treated equally, it bugs me.
I guess I just the thing is he's relatable to some people. Like he seems like a very average guy. He seems like someone I feel people could rally behind. People could probably rally behind him more than the choir, more than Hans. Well, I mean, like,
yes, but
of the people that advance, I think he sits pretty neatly at like third or fourth, kind of in those interchangeable, which
I would agree
might be enough to make it through like the first cut. But beyond that, I think that's where the journey kind of is going to end for Joseph.
Agreed.
All right, let's kind of move on to Vicky Barbalak. I think she is our final act of the night, right?
Correct.
She's a comedian, and last week they had, I think, for the girl, I think Christina Wells. They kind of built up the story of Christina Wells. This week, I feel like
the background, talking about her.
We built up Vicky. She's does this routine. She has this whole story about raising her two daughters. What did you think about her jokes?
Did you laugh once?
No.
Never did I.
I was staring at my screen going, all right, I get her story. I get
her story. She's likable. I didn't laugh once. I'm sorry.
But the thing is, her jokes just, like, I laughed more from Leo's and from LaFontaine.
And the Human Fountains, I laughed more than any of the comedians this year. So it's kind of unfair. Of the stand-up comedians, I don't even think she's the strongest one of those.
I think the term that I'm going to coin for Adam's TV podcast is unwarranted pimpage, and I think that's a term that I have put out there. This is an Adam's TV podcast term because someone on production loves her. Like but her talent doesn't match up to her story, and in my opinion, I would have cut her this round. Honestly, would you have as well?
I would have. I'm sorry. I probably would have. She's right on the bubble for me because of her personality, and I see that some people were laughing, but I wasn't. So,
all right, let's kind of move on to our results. So we get the acts moving on are the Angel City Chorale from the Golden Buzzer, Joseph O'Brien, Shin Lim, Rob Lake, the Future Kings, Hans, Vicky Barbalak. Every other act is cut, and oh god, this was tough to watch because I had so many acts
that you like were just, bye.
They're dead. Yeah. Like our main characters of the show. Mm-hmm. They're dead. I'm not happy with these results, honestly. There were Angel City. Corrupt.
I'm unhappy with them, but for the one that I cared about strongly, it went the way I wanted it to, so I'm not going to complain too much.
Joseph, I understand. Rob Lake, I understand. Shimlim, I understand. Those three, I get. Everyone else, Future Kings would have been like right on the bubble for me, but everyone else just.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And we lost Leo's. We lost like so many.
Like Human Fountains.
But I'm not going to hold out completely despair because we always do wild cards in these shows. Usually they're not the kind of acts like Leo. I think they usually take.
No.
How many acts? Because we're getting 4 weeks of
top 36.
These, so that's 8. Oh, is it? Yeah. We get.
If you add up 5 golden buzzers plus 7 from each night, so 7, 14, 28. So 7 to 4 is 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33.
So we're missing 3. 3 wild cards. Everyone get ready. Leo's is coming back.
I'm not so sure. We'll see.
We'll see. Other than that, that kind of touches on every act. Are there any kind of final thoughts you kind of want to share for this episode?
Nope, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm just super bummed. I'm not a fan of this style of the competitions, of this round in general. I just feel it's a little unfair. I'm one of those opinions that I'd rather have like a top 60 and like have tons and tons. A little bit. I like the more.
I disagree with that. I would honestly cut more people, but cut the right people.
All right. So I guess unless you have any final thoughts, we're gonna kind of wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up. See you all next week. My name is. Go ahead.
All right. My name is Adam Samuel. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Soapbox. You can find me at my website, adamsoapbox.com and adamcvblog.com. Some big news. There is going to be a new post on adamsoapbox.com. I usually do one a month. The new one I just finished today. Going to be doing some edits on it. It's a short story. I actually had a much longer story. There were 2 stories I was working on, but it turned out to be 10 pages. So I wrote a shorter one, which is 2 pages today. I like it. I think it's a good story. You'll see it by the end of the month. Like I said, I do these once a month. And Eric, where can we find you?
Eric Ascher on Twitter. I'm on YouTube, Eric Ascher01. And it's also at ericascher.com. I'll be uploading the notes. Well, we're already uploaded. I just need to add this video in, and then I'll go. So, and yeah, excited for next week. Hopefully the next guest judge is better. I think it's Martina McBride. So yeah.
We will talk about that next week. But just some housekeeping notices. I do want to share that my regular podcast with Ryan and Jason, we are going to be switching up the dates. We are going to be now moving from Thursday nights to Saturday nights. So we are probably going to be going live this week at 9:20. I will be posting more information on Twitter about that. Just something to make note of. I just want to say, Eric, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure talking with you today. To our viewers, thank you for joining us. This was fun. And until next time, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Bye.
Peace.